Hi everyone, and welcome back to First Rank Fire. In today's episode, we have got the new co-host of Second Rank Fire, Dave, aka Dave's Hobby Corner from Instagram. This is going to be your first proper introduction to Dave, who's going to be joining me on Second Rank Fire. Which, for those of you who've listened to the intro, to how we're going to change the podcast a little bit, Dave's going to be my co-host on the new half of the podcast, the better half of the podcast. A lot of people would argue.
Oh, cheers,
How you doing, Dave? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, mate. Thank you very much. What a flatter intro.
It's definitely going to be the better half because there's going to be a lot more of you talking and hopefully a little bit more of me, I guess. Is that a good thing? I'm not sure many people would say that. My wife certainly wouldn't say more of me is a good thing.
Hey, don't they just say? Yeah. I don't mind taking the reins for a little bit. It's a bit of waffling. Who doesn't like a waffle?
Especially about this hobby. We all like to waffle about this hobby,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I'm more excited to chat about grey plastic than anything else, I think.
I do it at work all the time. Genuinely, I'm pretty sure people get really annoyed at work because somebody will ask me a question about what I might be wearing my professional right hoodie, or I might be like my MPO t-shirt. I'll be, oh, what's that about? And I'm like, you've made a mistake here. Here's an hour-long lecture on why Warhammer is the best thing in the world.
Step into my office.
Yeah, everyone's heard it 50,000 times in the office, and everybody, I'm sure, still loves it. But enough about me.
So I wear enough hobby stuff on my sleeves anyway, my toes, and so I'll wear it with pride.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, we'll kick off. So straight into stuff. So obviously, you've not been on the podcast before. You are our first episode of the new format, and you are not a returning guest. What's your background in the hobby?
Oh God, shall I get a cup of tea? Right.
Yeah, it's fine by me. The less talking I have to do, the better. So you waffle now for the next half an hour, and I'm all good.
All right, challenge accepted. Right. Well, I've been in the hobby since I was 9. Back in the day, when third edition was out. So originally, as all kids do, I had an older brother that was sort of dabbling his toes into it, and I just sort of like went down that deadly rabbit hole that we all very know well. And once I had a taste for it, and that was it. It's like every Christmas, hobby this, hobby that. I was having more toys than anything else. Then obviously, when you get older, as a lot of people may hear, that college, education, going out clubbing and stuff, it sort of took a back burner, as all things do in real life, unfortunately.
Yep.
But I've always kept my little pinky toe into it as like a side burner. But then I think I fully got back into it once I started working full time properly in whatever field I was doing. Then when I was getting more money, I was getting more toys.
Disposable income.
It's like goes in one hand, comes out the other. So it's quite deadly, and I can't.
What's your bank details? Just send it to GW.
Yeah. Just don't bother. Give me a wage. Just give me toy soldiers. Yeah, I've lost track of how many armies I've done. Sold, went back to again. I'm quite known for that. I don't know why. Just like certain armies that I just got rid of and started again.
Yeah, we've all done it.
And I've sort of like more embraced the community side now on Instagram. As Ben, that's how me and Ben met through.
Yep.
Through the hobbies, through Instagram. It's like he's shown me some cool bits, and I've shown him some cool bits, and that's where I am now. So so I'm all about the community now. Like if someone asks me advice on Instagram now, I don't shoo him away. I'll give him my sense, and because we're all in it together now to broadcast your skills and stuff. So even though I'm still learning different techniques and stuff like that, as I know Ben's got YouTube videos of like non-metallics and stuff like that, which he hasn't delved into yet. But we all got those like hobby lists, and I'm pretty much on a tournament scene as well. But I've done about 3 this year, so I've done doubles is my main go-to because it's more laid back, tongue in cheek. You're there with a mate,
best way of
you
playing.
can just chill out, And I met some great people through there. So the list is too long to name them. But yeah, some great people out there in the community, and I'm quite pleased that I've met them and in person and stuff like that, and just like the journey from that friendship, which is the main key of this community. So you can all walks of life come together. It's like a universal language, I would say, because you can have people from France around the world. We all know the same language, which is Warhammer. It's brilliant. So what more do you want?
Yeah, it's the best hobby out there, for sure.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that to my missus though, but that's an old story.
Or your bank. Your bank probably don't agree either.
What's the bank details? Do I have a bank?
So you started in 3rd. What was your first army?
Blood Angels was my first army.
Oh, that was my first army.
Yeah, back in the day when I was quite known when I was a youngster, when I had like the Rhino Rush army, where you could like charge. I think I'll probably get haters now for like getting the rule logic wrong, but I think it was like
well, from 20 years ago. I think it might be okay.
I think it was when you could like get out your Rhino, or what was it, move 12, overcharge 6, get out 3, shoot your bolt guns and charge at the same time. Oh, those were the days, and people hated it. And yeah, then once I got a bit more money, I went to the fantasy side, then hardcore. I was a proper, I think it started about 5th edition in fantasy before it blew up.
Okay.
I ranged from pretty much like 2 armies, I think. It was dwarfs and good old Bretonnians back in the day when I still remember like yesterday when I had like 120 men at arms, just blocks of infantry. It's the way to go.
Good lord, that is fancy through and through, isn't it?
I pretty much lost 99% of my games because of it, but I didn't care. I looked cool on the battlefield. I'm done. So yeah.
Nice. And what are you playing now?
What am I not playing?
Well,
that's the question.
Now, yeah,
so I've got an AOS tournament coming up in November. So I'm just finishing off my Six of Sigmar, which is all plastered over Instagram. I'm sure people are getting fed up with me seeing horses and other things.
I'm not. I love it.
So I've literally got in front of me I think it's the Warcry band, so the Wild Corp Hunters. So they've got the little dogs and stuff like that. So I've got that unit to finish. And that'll be me done. That's a 2,000 point army. When did I start? I think was it June?
It wasn't that long ago, I don't feel. Yeah.
Well, I started it early in January when I was doing my 40k doubles. Then it just nosedived off the cliff. And then I picked up again once I managed to get tickets for the championship in November. And
nice.
I think that's what drives me more. So if I've got an event I'm going to, I'll get so tunnel visioned on it and I'll get it done. Then probably after this, I'll probably like pump the brake and just do my Vespid or my Ryan Leapers for the time being, you know.
Yeah.
So as I said there, I've got Cities of Sigmar, started a Tyranid army for some reason, just like a Death Leaper. I was like, you know what, I'm going down that
Space Marine 2, right?
That probably helped as well. What an awesome game that is. But I'm glad I didn't go down more Marines because I've got my Raven Guard somewhere. And of course, my famous Guard army that a lot of people knew for my 30 Rough Riders and stuff like that, which was quite comical. Died very easily, but very comical. But
then they came back with the stratagem, right? So you just kept bringing back more horses.
Only if they didn't fail their battle shot test, which I found out.
True.
Which is quite a grey area because in the rules it doesn't say. So it just says when the unit's destroyed. But we found out that it is if they failed a battle shot previously, they won't be able to use the stratagem, for example. So which is understandable because that's broken as anything.
Yeah.
But I have used that stratagem quite a few times. It's so funny just seeing another 10 horses come back on. And just see the size of your opponent's face. Like I just killed 30 of these. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like they've learned with AOS with that because I'm pretty sure like all the bringing things back rule is like you bring back half strength or something like that. So I feel like Age of Sigmar they've learned from that rule.
Yeah, it's very. I haven't, to be honest. The only thing I've played in Age of Sigmar is Spearhead, and it's quite worrying that I've got a 2K tournament and I've hardly played no 2K games. I'm
That's
just gonna
fine.
wing it.
It's basically
Just
the
gonna wing
same.
it. Bottom tables for me. That's all
Yeah.
I'm aiming for. That's fine.
They're the best tables. That's where I
yeah.
live my life in tournaments. Is in
Absolutely.
those bottom tables.
Absolutely. But I think what I've noticed on the cards, there's only certain units that you can replenish. So for Cities of Sigmar, it's the Steel Helms only. They're the only ones that you can replenish and bring back. And
Yeah.
rule mongers out there probably correct me eventually that that's wrong, but that's what I've seen. And I think the same with like the undead, I think, as well, with like zombies and skeletons, I think.
Skaven's the same. The only thing I think I need to double check, but I think the only thing you can bring back with Skaven is probably your clan rats, or maybe
Yeah.
I need to check the rules on Stormvermin. But I mean, clan rats. Can you imagine if like, oh, I'm just going to spend, I'm just going to use this stratagem. I'm going to bring back 40 clan rats because I've got a reinforced unit. Just keep bringing back 40 clan rats. Oh, you
Do it.
I think I'd get bored of it as the player.
Nah, you can never be bored of that. It's all about the fluff. All about the fluff.
Yeah, more rats. I mean, I do already own 80. I only started playing, or I only started painting my Sigmar army when 4th edition came out. I think I did a few testers like the week before that box set came out, and then decided, you know what, I'll just do it. I'll just buy that box set, and now I own 80 clan rats.
It's a cracking box set. It's probably the best box set I've done.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. There's so many great models. The rat ogres in that are my favorite models.
Oh, beautiful! Absolutely beautiful.
They're incredible. Yeah, they lend themselves so well. They're such a simple model, but have just enough detail to really sort of make them look good.
Yeah, and the detail on them, like the engraved, like the runes in them and stuff like that, just so good.
Yeah,
and it gives me
Sigmar though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can see why people from I've been primarily been 40k through and through, and I haven't played it since April, but since dabbing my toe into Age of Sigmar, I can agree with them that one of the best sculpting ranges ever. It's like when I painted the Lioness, even I think I painted her in a day.
Yeah.
What a beautiful model! I was like, that's why I love the hobby. It's like certain models, I'm like, I can't put this down, but I need to put it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care. I want to get this done. And I'm just like smashing stuff out. And
you put so many updates on the Discord as you were going through that. I was like, is this still the same day?
Yeah,
am I caught in a loop here?
Yeah, and I think you weren't the only one. I think because I think I had a day off from work that day, and I was while the kid was at school, and that's my 6-hour window when I've done everything around the house. I'm like, right, I'm just gonna chill out and do some hobby, and just smash her out. And yeah, it's like I can't fault that model one bit. It's just awe-inspiring, and I'm glad I did that. Even though it's quite a good point chunk in that one model, but it's a beautiful centerpiece, absolutely stunning. But you can't narrow it down just for one model in the whole range. I believe each faction now has got one stunner model in their range. Even if it's from like the Sylvaneth, the guy riding the beetle thing, not the Eladriel, but the Kernoth one. I can't remember the name. Or even the old sculpt of the Archeon on these dragon thing. Is it Archeon or dragon thing? That's such an old model.
Three-headed dragon.
Yeah, but it's so beautifully done. So I can see why people have crowned AOS as the best sculpts ever.
That's definitely for me. I've said it quite a few times. I've been on record quite a few times saying for me, Sigmar has such a better model range than 40k, 30k. Choose whatever you want. For me, it's got the best model range that GW do. It feels like they've got so much more freedom to really make what they want from those models.
Oh, 100%.
And they do it in such a good way. And nobody's ever been able to talk me off that plinth. I will stay on this plinth of AOS models are far superior until someone gives me a really, really good reason. And that's even with the Lion coming out. It's still Sigmar.
And that's saying something. And the Lion, stunner model.
Mm,
It outclasses Girly Man any day in sculpture.
I agree.
Ultramarine haters probably gonna burn me at the cross for that, but seeing the Lion makes you want to do a Dark Angel army just by itself because of its like knightly pose and stuff like that. You know,
That's
it's
cool.
such a
Yeah.
simple dynamic pose. But I'll be joining you on that plinth. It's like people have to like demolish that plinth to like take me off it. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
It's hard not to. I mean, you look at the Manticore. It's just there's so much detail in it. It's such a beautiful model, and they're not hampered by this idea of you can't have them. It's like it's AOS. You can have whatever you want.
Exactly.
You've got orcs riding
got
big
that free
cabbage
reign.
dragons. Yeah.
And they've got that free reign. I don't understand why they haven't got that with 40k, but I think they've got
it's
to be
mainly
more
for
logically.
me. It's around lore.
Yeah,
I think there's part of that, but I think there's so much lore there coming from all the heresy stuff and then into the 40k universe. To move away from that, I mean, how would you move it? You look at Primaris. People hated the introduction of Primaris. They're like, why not just make them true scale Marines? They're still just tactical Marines. It's just the idea of introducing one new Space Marine generation. Everyone's like, no, that's the worst thing you've ever done. You're like, this is why they can't do stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, they did a good thing with Votann, but like they're limited with Space Marines now to what they've always been.
Yeah, Votann's one of the armies that I would love to do because I love dwarves. I just love dwarves. But it's just their range is not vast enough. I think how many?
Yeah.
Is it 6 units? About 6
Something
units,
like that. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the Hearthguard looks stunning, absolute stunner models. But it's just and their fluff lore behind them as well. It's so in depth.
Yeah.
Like where they sort of like sacrifice worlds and stuff like that, or bargain chip with the Imperium to help them out. You know, so it's like I can just leave you and you get swamped by Nids, or we can help you out. But yeah, I think they missed like a pinnacle point on that with the Votann release. Because where I think the last time they had a new race was the Tau Empire, when they brought the battlesuits out, and their range was vast. They're like battlesuits, stealth suits. Of course, it's evolved now, but that goes with the fluff side of it, where they experiment on suits. So that's where the Ghost Kill came out and stuff like that, and all that shenanigans. Out of all the races, I think the Votann have got let down badly. I think.
Yeah, and the fact they've had to wait until now to get a book. So I guess at the point of recording, they've still not brought that book out, or have they brought it out now?
I don't
think they've brought it out yet. Or if it is, it's been within the last month or so they've brought that book out. I mean, when did Votann come out? It's such a long time ago. That box set was incredible, and then they've got nothing with them. The Lion, they released the Lion, and he had a book come with him. Literally, the same day. It was like, here's the Lion model, and by the way, here's the story of why he's back.
Yeah. I get like with the Votann, I get the vibe of like the old school Dark Elder back in the day when they didn't get a codex since like 3rd, 5th edition. I can't remember what edition it was, and they're the old school horrible models, and they had a massive blow up. So I can just see the Votann getting the same love. I think they'll get neglected so long, and they'll just throw money at Votann and go, "Here you go, it's a new Gubbins." And stuff like that.
Yeah, I hope so.
So when you look at the like the Necromunda stuff, for example, you got squats in there. Some of their kits in there look stunning.
They've got that big vehicle there. They've got like the Forge World vehicle, which is just insane.
Yeah, and I think
Votann got it.
I think they got like the little robot things, like little sentry robot guns and stuff like that, which they could easily add into the Votann. I think that'd be quite a cool little touch. And especially when you look at the kill teams as well. In the kill team, where you've got the 2 sets. Well. Yeah, you got ones with like jump packs, and you got like the one looks like someone's been watching The Matrix too much, or they've got the dredged coats and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because they're the pioneers, aren't they? But not on the bikes. They're on foot.
The bikes, they're on foot. Yeah, and they're stunner models. And I think they missed a bullet there, but But what do we know? Hey, we're just money hobbyists that just splash the money out, as they would say.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess we talked a little bit about sort of what you're up to in terms of your Sigma and the fact that you've got your NIDs and stuff like that. What have you got planned coming? So we talked about the Age Sigma tournament. Words, Ben. I've forgotten how to podcast. Apparently, you've got an Age Sigma tournament coming up. What else have you got coming up, or what has you got planned?
Probably for this end of the year, probably nothing now. After the November, I'm lucky enough that I can manage to squeeze another one in. But I'm usually keeping an eye out for like what's on the horizon. I usually quite wing it, and if there's an event that catches my eye, I think there's one in January, which I'm going to do with a mate. It's a Lord of the Rings one, just out of the blue. And I was like, you know what? I love Lord of the Rings. Who doesn't like Lord of the Rings? It's a classic.
Yeah.
And I used to dabble in it when I was a youngster, when it came out in 2005, was it? Back in the day?
Before I was in the hobby, so yeah.
Yeah, God, right, make me feel old. Yeah, and just do it on a whim, you know. Especially with the new War of Rohirrim animation coming out soon.
Yeah,
which
those
looks
incredible.
Awesome. And I'll be buying that starter set like a fat kid loves cake. Even with Father Christmas.
That's your MO.
But if you notice in the box, there's only 2 guys on horses. Small guys on foot. Which I kind of like, because I want a break from horses. But I'll do my bit to paint more horses if there's more horses. So I think that's the next one potentially. But I have to fit it around when I have my daughter and stuff like that. So I have to play it quite fluidly when I can do it. But if I'm not doing tournaments, I'll just go with what I want to do. If you probably heard in Ben's Discord, which I'm quite spamming quite rapidly.
Go ahead.
I'm producing. Hopefully, I get another 20 Vespid on the way. So I'm having 30 Vespid.
You're diving into those Vespid hard.
Oh yeah, just such beautiful models. I can't wait to paint them.
Yeah.
And they're just literally staring at me now. And I've just done the first dry brush stage. But I can't. I've got to be disciplined. I've got to get the other stuff done first.
You got a tournament to go to. Get that done, yeah.
Yeah. All right. God, priorities, eh? Then, apart from that, that's about it, to be honest. I usually just like flicker between the two and see what catches my fancy. Yeah, and just see what the world does, you know. So I don't have a set goal. If there's certain tournaments that a bunch of my mates are going, then I'll just go if I can.
Yeah.
And I'll, if I have to buy a new army, then I'll buy a new army. I'll just do it, or just take another crazy army list with my Lictor army and stuff like that, which I'm planning to do as well. Which is all like even though people say it's probably the worst attachment out there, but I'm all about the fluff. It's all about Von Ryan Leapers. I'm doing the same as the camo technique on my Lictor, so all my stealthy stuff's got like sort of like coming out of camo transition thing. So it's hard to describe.
For those on YouTube, we'll put a lovely little picture up of some of Dave's stuff. So
yeah.
I'll get Dave to send me some pictures over.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Only got one model painted so far, but it was actually quite a joy painting.
It's really, really nice. Yeah,
it's actually quite a joy painting a Tyranid model because you can just go nuts, and you can have them so vibrant and stuff like that, you know. But that's about it, really. No plans, just crazy, spontaneous type stuff.
That will change. So one of the things that me and Dave obviously spoke about, again, if you've watched the intro chat, is the fact that we're going to aim to start setting like goals and things like that. So we're going to be chatting every 2 weeks. So we're going to be setting each other goals, things like that. So Dave, I'm going to keep you clean. I'm going to start setting you goals to be like, you need to finish this unit. Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Mission.
I'll keep you on the straight and narrow. Yeah, I'll get you through that grey. Don't you worry. As long as you get me through mine.
Yeah, I don't know who's got the best end of this.
I struggle to paint anything. You're a much faster painter. Unless I'm painting Skaven, it's going to take me about a year to paint anything.
It's all about just repetition. That's it. And it's one thing when I grew up in hobby, when the manager still works at GW where I used to play, and he said, if you just do one colour a night, as I've told you this numerous times, just do one colour a night, even if it's like 10, 15 minutes, just doing like a bolt gun on like 5 guys. Just do a bolt gun, that's it. And soon, before you know it, all that 15 minutes just doing like a colour on 1 or 2 models will eventually materialise into a whole unit. Eventually, okay, maybe not be next, like 3 days later. And it's just about setting realistic goals and stuff like that. Since I found Slap Chop, which I introduced you to, it's like open a new world for me. Like
my production. That's exactly what I was going to say.
My production level, as you well know, and I think people get fed up seeing posts on my Instagram where it's every day, especially when I was doing my Rough Riders. I was like, people like, when I went to the GR meme team doubles, and people came up to me, which was quite cool. They were recognising my stuff. So I'll follow you on Instagram and stuff like that. And we thought you were just taking the same photos of the same unit, but you weren't. And when they saw like 30 horse riders there, you go, actually you weren't. So I was quite that made my day. That is, even though I came like second from bottom with my partner in that, so I don't care. That little comment made my weekend.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm in it for.
It's changed.
And
it's changed my thinking on it. So obviously before, probably when a lot of people listen to podcasts before, I was sort of trying to change how I painted and stuff like that. Was starting to enjoy painting a lot more, and I sort of fell into a bit of a rut with it. And then sort of chatting with Dave, bring these Skaven out. I picked up Slap Chop and I painted, I think I'm like 1,500-1,600 points of Skaven, something like that. And I did it in like a month or something like that. That's probably the biggest set of finished models that I've done that quickly, in almost one sitting ever. So it's definitely changed my priority. I feel like I'm probably becoming more of an army painter than a model painter.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same.
I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and whack it out.
I feel like you're probably like me. It's like, as long as my model looks good at arm's distance, like I'll be amazed if I get nominated for best army nominee or whatever, like Warhammer doubles or whatever. That'd be like the silver lining, but it's very aim for the sky and pray. But as I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet or whatever, but it is nice to hear when people say that's a cool looking army, and especially with the water effects I did on my horses. From my Rough Riders, and I've brought that transition into my Age of Sigmar, which just gives it a bit of flavour. And and I haven't turned back. The amount of times I've shown people this water effect and stuff like that.
It's cool.
It's adds another flavour. It definitely does.
Again, a lovely little picture just going to appear here.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Yeah.
This is what I made it earlier.
No, it's really cool. Yeah, I don't think I'll fully move away from the idea of specific models. So, I mean, for example, I'd love to get another lion and paint him up as in Deathwing colours. And so I feel like
that'd be nice.
I want to look back at my Dark Angels. So I've had a little break from doing Dark Angels. If you're on my Discord, then you'll probably see that I've just built 15 Terminators. So it wasn't much of a break.
Yeah, bad influence.
But I'm going to take more of like an army painting approach to those, and try and get them out and get them looking to like you say, at arm's length. They're looking at the right standard. But if I was to get another lion, again, I would probably try and approach that from a slightly different way and not do that army painter approach, and try and bring out some of those techniques and that I've sort of learned when I was doing the podcast before, and sort of chatting with other people about more competition painting, trying to pull some, not necessarily to go out and do competition, but to sort of pull those into that specific model, just to have it as a different thing. So it still fit in with the army, but to have it as a more of a showpiece, a centerpiece type thing.
Yeah, and that's I've I've always been a bit wary doing paint competitions for myself personally, because I think that's more of a confident thing personally, because I've never been, wow, look at me, you know, I'm amazing. Like, check out this like little hobbit that I've painted, like to heavy metal standard.
Yeah.
So I take my hats off. I've known people that do Golden Demons, and what they can create is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
they're just like another league to me. I'm like, I'm happy just like paddling doggy paddle down here, and you enjoy the high. That's your thing. That's cool.
That's what they want to do. Yeah, it's where they get the
You know?
enjoyment out of the hobby, isn't it?
Absolutely. So that's what's amazing about this hobby is where it's like there's so many avenues you can go down and stuff like that. Because I've known people that just paint. They don't take an interest into gaming, which my missus is sort of wants to lean into the painting side, which is absolutely fine. You know,
Cool,
so
yeah.
I'll help her do that and stuff like that. Because when she hears me talk about it, it's like a whole another language. Like
Yes.
dice, this. She goes, "You just lost me at dice. How does the dice work?" You know, and then trying to explain it in as a GW term, simple. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
You know, without getting technical. But it's so many avenues you can do. Like, there's some incredible people on Instagram where they do like dioramas in like picture frames and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell? You know, and you're so zoomed in on it, where there's so much detail. It's insane. And seeing the people at Golden Demon this year, oh my god, it's like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I can appreciate masterpieces and stuff like that, and it doesn't bother me that I can't reach that level. I know maybe I could if I put time and effort into it. Anyone can do it if they just practice, but that's not where my enjoyment is. I enjoy like a bit of the hobby, mostly the gaming, a bit of the fluff. That's what I enjoy, and that's what's amazing about this hobby, where it caters for all, pretty much.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on to sort of the last bit. Have you got a favourite bit of lore? It can be 40k or AOS or wherever you want. Do you actually have a favourite bit of lore, book, or anything like that?
I think favourite lore will always be my heart when the end times, when
Oh, okay.
all the laws of magic found their avatars. So you had like Grimgor Ironhide have Gur, Law of Beasts.
Yep.
Malekith had Shadow. I think, spoilers, I think Tyrion died in that. I think Texas became Law of Light.
Did you just say spoilers to something that happened like a
Yeah,
decade ago or something?
you don't know.
like that?
People maybe not know what happened in end times. It's like ancient knowledge.
No, look, if people are listening and they don't know about that, I'm happy for them for it to be spoiled. I'll take the flag. It can be spoiled. They should have gone and looked at it by now. Just saying.
Yeah, so I think it was 8 Laws of Magic had a host, and I thought the best one was Grimgor Ironhide. Typical orc. He just bullied his way through everyone and tried to find the biggest target, which was Archeon, and just stormed ahead. And that's probably the most lore I cherish of the old times. Oh no, it's got to be. It's a hard thing to like.
It's a really hard. Yeah, it's a really hard question.
Or actually, it's all on par. Is when Cetra got decapitated, and his head sat in the sand, staring at the sunset, while Nagash killed him. So he didn't die because Nagash is imperishable. He can't die.
Yep.
Etc. So it's between those two. I can't put it on one. It's those two. End times back in the day when, is it 9th edition? Yeah, I think it was 9th edition before they killed
him.
I
think so.
So yeah,
that's my. Do you know what that is? So far from the answer that I expected. If you go on your Instagram and stuff like that, it's quite AOS heavy at the moment, or it has been. But before that, you've been so big into 40k. My head would have been like, if I'd have bet Dave likes a bit of lore, it would have been about 40k.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I am a sucker for Imperial Guard book. I must say, especially the Curse of the Eighth trilogy, and who does like a guide book because you can easily picture yourself in that position because they're a human.
Never read one, never listened to one. God, for me, this is, again, this podcast is called First Rank Fire. Our podcast is going to be called Second Rank Fire. I've never painted a God model. I have no interest at all in God. I don't know why.
It is tempting to buy a random guard model for you, and I'll challenge you that in your 2 weeks.
Maybe, yeah. I'll paint a Commissar that looks like me. It can be the First Rank Fire mascot. No, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Apparently, Matt and Sean over, well, mainly Matt, but Matt and Sean over at Brushlickers Club have said go away and read Gaunt's Ghosts, because apparently that will get you into Guard.
Classic.
No matter how much you aren't into Guard, if you read Gaunt's Ghosts, you'll want to go and paint some Guard. So at some point, I should probably pick those up. But yeah, I've had no drive for Guard whatsoever. I don't know why.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I'm a sucker for reading a book, and I just get tunnel vision on an army, and I'm like, I want to do this army. And
yeah,
so when I read the line book, is it the forest, forest?
The Son of the Forest. Yeah,
yeah, and that's stunning. That's an awesome book, and incredible.
Everyone will know that's my favorite book in 40 in 40k in
yeah.
Warhammer in general. That's my favorite book.
And if I enjoy a book so much, then an army will 99% materialize out of it somewhere, and I'll just get tunnel driven. And yeah, it's tough to put a single pinnacle point. I'm glad I threw a sucker punch in there.
Yeah, massively. Yeah, for the first episode to come out with like the end times, which so many fantasy people hated the fact that it happened. I feel like that all of that lore has been tarnished with that hatred for the end times. Yes, for you to come out and be like, that was the best part of the lore. That's mad.
In lore, it was the best. It was because it was quite nice to have like an advance from the original timeline, which hasn't changed in God knows how many years.
Yeah.
But I was very upset when they killed my favourite game, and I was like, oh. I felt quite deflated when it did happen. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Then that's when I focused back into 40k. I didn't give AOS a chance when it came out. When it did come out, it wasn't the greatest game when it came out because there's so many bad decisions in it until second edition came along and so forth. But it's just people don't like change, and it will always be the best system, Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
It's such a cool system.
It was, but I think what they dug themselves in the hole where it was such an expensive system to get into.
You need a lot of models to play
absolutely, fantasy. And I really want to get into the old worlds, but I haven't had a chance yet. I'm trying to get some feelers out in my community where I live, and find out if there's a big base there before I actually plunge into it and stuff like that. And where I used to play, I don't know if you knew a system called Aeronautica Imperialis, the fighter game.
Yeah.
Where they dropped it, which I was gutted. I absolutely loved the dogfight. You had the Maverick tunes on, brilliant. It felt like Top Gun. It was great. And I'm quite wary that if I invest in it, I don't want them to pull the plug. And I've got an army sitting here that I can't use. You know,
I mean, it felt like they brought out the old world. I mean, I made a fairly fundamental choice. I decided that obviously I really enjoy 40k. My history as a kid was back in fantasy. I was gutted when I came back into fantasy because came back into 40k because fantasy wasn't a thing. So I never ever played 40k as a kid. Only ever played fantasy. Came back and fantasy was gone. I was like, cool, that's not good. My local meta was for all 40k, so all of my friends played 40k, stuff like that. So I went into 40k, and so making the decision then to go, actually, you know what, I'm gonna put 40k down for a minute. I'm gonna pick another system. The system was either going to be AOS or Old World, and obviously everyone was like, "Oh, obviously you're gonna pick Old World." Like Old World's just come out. They brought out the Orcs, which I mean, I'm an Orc player through and through from a fantasy point of view. Everyone's like, "Well, surely you're just going to pick up the Orcs for Old World." And my concern was exactly that. Like, there was this massive boom. It looked like on Instagram for Old World, but then it just disappeared. GW stopped talking about it. There was almost nothing on Instagram about Old World models or anything like that. And it was only recently when they started to talk about. So I think they brought out the dwarves now again, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which was really cool. I genuinely thought they've brought out Old World, and then they've just almost killed it off near enough straight away.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't help when they didn't realise the excitement of the community of how well it would do on launch day, where it sold out so quick.
Yeah.
Even I couldn't get a copy of Bretonnians because I want to do Bretonnian army to get my men at arms back up again. And yeah, I was a bit salty with that. I was like, fuck, not trying not to swear, but it is what it is, and I think that's why I haven't dived into it. I was like, if it'll be there, it'll be there. But at the moment, AOS, and I'm hoping 40k will keep me going. Then I can dabble into like Lord of the Rings, potentially Old Worlds if the community's right. Because I'm quite focused on if there's not enough player base around, I won't invest in it. And I know Lord of the Rings is quite strong and it'll always be strong wherever you go, because it's one. I'm hoping they don't ruin an awesome system, because at the moment it's probably one of the best systems out there.
I've heard that so many times. From a game point of view, it's supposed to be one of the best games that GW has done, and that the edition that's obviously just about to end is supposed to be like the best edition of the spin of it as well.
So I'm a bit on edge if they don't ruin it, but to be honest, I'll be jumping in it as a new person because I've rarely played the last edition, so I wouldn't know what was great and what was new. So I'll just trust the people's opinions, see what happens. But from what I've heard, review-wise, from people that had it early, it's got some good things. Obviously, there's some things that's got a bit saltier, but bringing everything into line and stuff like that. But as I'm not a rules writer personally, so I don't know how it operates, because you can't please with one hand and please the other. So it's got to be like the pendulum, trying to balance in center, so it pleases either way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That was it. I mean, that was the final in this new cut down version of the podcast. It's been a sort of real pleasure to have you on, Dave. And obviously,
thank you for having me.
You're going to be back. You're going to be back every 2 weeks. So everything we talk about, all these things, all these things, you're going to be back every 2 weeks, and we'll learn about how you're getting on up till November, getting into that tournament. We'll learn all about how you did at the tournament, and then how you're picking up Lord of the Rings. So we'll hear loads about this.
Absolutely, and likewise, vice versa. I shall drag you to some tournaments eventually.
I need to do more. Similar to you, for me, doubles is the way to play. Any tournament. I went to a single, one single player tournament, and I having played 2 doubles tournaments, I was like, this just isn't as fun. Like there's so much. It's so much more focused on the game, which is, I guess, is the point of a tournament. But at the same time, I just loved going and chatting with people in doubles and stuff like that. Like it was, So I'll be definitely up for more doubles tournaments, things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe go to the one at Warhammer World at some point.
Oh yeah, mate, they're like gold dust. So I think the last one I went to sold out in 7 minutes, 5 minutes.
I'll get Jack to get me tickets. That man can get me tickets to anything. It's insane.
It's like even this one, the AOS Team Championship one, sold out in 2 minutes.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's
crazy.
I was panicking at one stage when my system froze. But anyway, I'm sure we've got enough time in other episodes to waffle on more.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it loads. So it's good. It's all good. So, where can people find you, Dave? Let's finish on that.
So people can find me at I'm sure Ben will add it into the notes. Dave _
Of course I will.
The _ hobby. Is it? Even I can't remember. I've got it on my freaking TV, on my screen. Rephrase that. Dave _ hobby _ corner, and so that's where to find me. I do have my account private, but as long as if that's the case, just message me directly. Because there are some weird people out there, and I've just got fed up people trying to add me. You probably know the score where it's like random fake profiles trying to add you. It just dumb me in.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Private.
Yeah, fair play.
And that's where you can find me, and I'll just post, as Ben says, pretty much almost non-stop hobby updates from grey plastic. I don't know. I usually do from like stage by stage almost. I don't do from like grey plastic to finished product. I'll give like a work in progress, like so you can keep track of how well I'm doing. And yeah, if you like that stuff, hook me up, and I'll most likely follow back. As long as you're not a stalker, that'll be all right.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, obviously we will see Dave on the podcast as well. So moving forward, like I say, Dave's going to be my co-host on the Second Rank Fire podcast. So every other week you'll be getting an interview, and the alternative week you'll be getting our hobby hangout. Where we'll be setting each other targets and talking about things that have happened in those 2 weeks, be it like big events. So, for example, if we were talking right now, we'd be talking about Essen probably, and the fact that Jordan Demons just happened, and big model reveals, so all the model reveals with Warhammer Day and stuff like that. So yeah, so you'll be able to see Dave load so later on the podcast. So on the channel in the future, you're going to see him all the time.
Absolutely. I know. You lucky
and of course the Discord. You're very active on the First Rank Fire Discord.
I know, right? I'm surprised I'm not muted or blocked. So
no,
people are ashamed that I just don't show my hobby progress because Dave's just like spamming everything.
Between me, you, and yeah, I mean, there's a few of us that spam constantly, but it's really cool.
Hands. It's good, you know.
Yeah,
so hopefully that'll grow more and more.
That progress.
And yeah, so that'd be great. Just catch up with people, meet new people. You know, that's what we're in there for. You know.
Exactly that. Yeah. And yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of the new format. Obviously, it's a relatively big change from how it was before, but hopefully you still enjoy it. If you've got any got any tips or any particular thoughts on the new format, just give me a shout. I'm always happy to pick up and chat and stuff like that. If you want me on First Rank Fire on Instagram, you can obviously post on because it's going to go out on YouTube as well, so you can post in the comments there or put a comment on the podcast wherever you follow it. If you did enjoy it, I'd obviously love to get a subscribe or leave a review or whatever it is, wherever you found the podcast. I'd really appreciate that. It will sort of really help me and Dave as it goes on to sort of grow the podcast and try and do more stuff with it. And yeah, come on over to the Discord. So if you go onto my Instagram, it's on there. I'll put a link to it in the description, YouTube, and on all the podcast places as well, so you can get on the Discord. It's a nice little group at the moment. Like Dave says, hopefully it'll grow a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration in there, and it's certainly helped me get through some of that burnout, some of that hobby burnout. It's just nice to see other people going. It gives you that emphasis to keep going. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.